With another productive and awesome mountain biking season behind us, as winter settles in, it's been my tradition to take some time off the bike, giving me a chance to focus on other things, letting me reinvigorate my love for the sport. This year, I decided the best way to fill that time would be moving during a pandemic. When you'd come into our old apartment, you'd enter through what I affectionately called the garage. It was a hybrid office / workshop / music studio / gym / storage space. It worked for a while, but with both of us spending more time at home due to the pandemic, space demands only worsened. I've been living in a downtown apartment for the last 6 years. It's been a great lifestyle. I've got no complaints. But I'm a man of hobbies, many loud, messy, space-consuming hobbies. Hobbies that I've necessarily had to put on hold. So, we traded in our 2-bedroom apartment for something a little more suburban. A 2-bedroom house with exactly the same square footage, but one saving grace. So I have some really concrete requirements for what I need this space to be. I need to be able to set up my instrument and have a dedicated practice space. I want to have a gym with enough space for my girlfriend and I to work out together. I want to be able to store the bikes. I need an entire functional workshop. And to top it all off, it has to be cheap, like almost free cheap. No problem. The first thing I had to do was get permission from my landlord to break down these old workbenches so I could use the material for future projects. Now, when it came to layout, I already had a pretty good idea about what I wanted to do in my head, but because you can't see that, I also decided to use SketchUp. One thing that I'd additionally like to be able to do is teach drum lessons out of this space, so it was important to me that I was able to keep the shop, the gym, the bike storage, the music spaces all separate. Now, my plan originally was to use large bifold doors so that I could close off the gym and bike storage area when not in use, while maximizing space with the doors open. But functionally, the measurements didn't work out, so I settled for just one wall in between the workshop and the rest of the space, knowing that I can always add on down the road. With the plan in place, it was time to get to it. I started with some simple overhead storage before slapping together some janky shop furniture so I had some way to stay organized while I finished the rest of the build. Next up, it was time to take care of the wall. Because I'm running parallel with the trusses, I needed to make sure that my wall followed that truss so that I could fasten it properly to the ceiling, even at the expense of it being square. So I lay it all out based around that truss location. Next thing that I knew was that I wanted at least one full 8-foot long section of wall in the shop, so I'd have somewhere where I could store full sheets of plywood as well as some longer material. So based off that, I just figured out where I wanted the door to be. After that, I just had to actually build it. With the wall framed and some super fresh new gym mats, I needed to make the shop a bit more functional with some tool carts and material storage racks. So after building those, it was time to spend hours driving all over town until I found an inexhaustible supply of 8-foot pallets. Let's go get some permission. After breaking down all those pallets, this influx of materials meant that I needed a jointer sled for my table saw so I could true up the edges to use them for the wall. With that sled put together, it was time to spend pretty much an entire day just jointing one side of each of these salvaged boards, followed by a second day where I passed them through the table saw again just to clean up the other side. Now with the boards jointed, I just slapped them up. Well, I can say this with absolute certainty. It looks like it's made out of pallets, you know? Yep, they're gonna gap, but it's a rental and it's pallet wood. So who cares? I have every intention of not caring. Like, I don't care. I don't really care about that. I don't care. After protesting a little too much, I added some trim and things were starting to take shape. With the shop side of things largely taken care of, it was now time to focus on what I've yet to come up with a proper name for, but have temporarily and regrettably dubbed the dojo. I'm open to suggestions. Okay, I've got a little bit of a confession to make. It's that I have noodle arms. I've been cycling too much and my legs are twigs and I don't like it. I want to get jacked. It's not gonna happen. Controversially, I love working out, but I hate picking things up off the ground, so I spent a little bit of money on a half rack. It's gonna be able to support at least 500 pounds and was made using only dimensional lumber and some gas fittings. It's pretty typical of every wooden rack that's come before it. Laminated uprights, simple stringers, and an elegant black steel pull-up bar complete the ensemble. With the rack done and ready to use, I make a special point to save my strength. There's still a lot of build to go. Now with the larger, more time-consuming projects done, it was time to deal with some of the low-hanging fruit. Knowing that storage was still going to be a major concern, I put together another shelf for some of my drum gear before noticing that my temporary bike storage solution was complete garbage and needed a total rethink. We're gonna remount the hook, we're gonna build some angle brackets, we're gonna shim it out a little bit so I can mount it to the existing 2x4 that's in place there. So I put up another crummy, temporary bike storage solution, but decided it was good enough. For now. With the bike storage figured out, I started to see that there was gonna be a need for additional storage in sort of a mudroom type capacity, somewhere where I could store all of my bike kit as well as some of my gym apparel. After dealing with that, all I needed was a desk. The whole project, start to finish, took about 2 weeks. And looking through receipts, it only cost me $447 Canadian, which includes all of the gym mats, glue, poly, framing for the wall, material for the rack, and even some extra materials that found their way inside the house by way of basement storage shelving and a laundry folding counter. And with that, we're done.